Alright, legends, today we got a brand new epic story, and I'm gonna let you discover it on your own. If we hit 1,000 likes within the next few hours, I'll drop part 2 on the same day. So come on, legends, your support is what keeps me going. Let's get into the story. The story begins on a battlefield, where a grand palace lies in ruins, and servants are being slaughtered in the courtyard. Even those who don't resist are mercilessly cut down. Two swords clash as two men battle fiercely. One of them raises his sword and swings with full force, but the other blocks the attack, his eyes burning with rage. This is the Ragnar clan, a powerful ducal family guarding the empire's northernmost borders. The reason the Ragnar clan has stood as the Great Northern Wall for over 1,000 years is because of a unique code they follow. It is said they carry the blood of dragons, and every member of the Ragnar bloodline is born with magic, incredible endurance, and a natural talent for swordsmanship. Except for the man fighting now. He takes a direct wound to the chest. He collapses to the ground, blood spilling from his body. The masked man tells him that no matter how hard he tries, some things are simply beyond his reach. Just as people always said, he lacks talent. The wounded man asks what he means by that. The masked man starts removing his cloak, saying that being born into the Ragnar bloodline without talent must be painful. Isn't that right, Theo? And now, we learn that our hero's name is Theo, and the masked man is Rindon. Theo asks why Rindon is even here. Rindon says watching him train tirelessly every morning despite having no talent was nothing but a pathetic sight, especially when hard work led him nowhere. He chuckles, saying the title, Ragnar's Fool, suits Theo perfectly. He mocks him, saying he should have hidden away instead of struggling to achieve the impossible. Theo grits his teeth, wondering if Rindon got close to him just to become his sword instructor, only to teach him worthless techniques. But before he can finish speaking, Rindon slices off Theo's arm. Blood splatters as Theo screams in pain. Rindon sighs, shaking his head. Why blame me, young Master Theo? Rindon grabs Theo's head, saying it all happened because of him. Why can't you see that? He asks coldly. He raises his sword and points ahead. Look closely, Theo. See why the Rose Palace is burning. See why your family is being slaughtered, even your mother. And then, she is dragged across the ground and thrown lifelessly before Theo. Rindon smirks. She's nothing but a corpse because of you. Theo's breath catches, his mind spinning in horror. Rindon steps closer. All of this is because you're Ragnar's fool. In this clan, in a clan ruled by the strong, the weak always meet this fate. Theo grits his teeth and calls out Rindon's name. With his remaining hand, he grips his sword tightly. Then, roaring in rage, he lunges forward. But suddenly, another blade flies, piercing straight through Theo's chest. His body collapses to the ground. A voice coldly commands, "That's enough. End it now." Rindon flinches and nods quickly. "Why, yes, I was just about to." Theo's voice trembles as he asks, "Does this mean I really achieved nothing in my life?" Now, watching everything burn, he wonders, is this truly the fate of someone born without talent? Tears stream down his face as he whispers, "If only I had talent from the start. Maybe, just maybe, things wouldn't have ended this way." Then, with one final breath, the flames swallow him whole. But suddenly, a strange window appears. You have died. The Ragnar bloodline trait has been activated. Time has been reversed to your last checkpoint. Theo's eyes snap open, staring at the wooden sword in his hands. Right in front of him stands Rindon, who chuckles. "You look exhausted. We can end today's lesson early if you want." Theo freezes, eyes wide in shock. What is happening? Rindon tilts his head. You seem distracted. But Theo forces a weak smile, just a bit out of it today. After all, he just died. His mind spins, trying to grasp what's real and what isn't. He can't believe it. Of all people. Why is it Rindon? A bitter sigh escapes him. Even death decided to be cruel in my final moments. Then, suddenly, a system window appears before his eyes. His gaze drops downward. A tutorial message pops up, displaying a single, absurd instruction. Punch Rinden. Theo stares at it, baffled. What the hell does that mean? Theo glances at Rinden, then back at the glowing system window. Is this how it works? It doesn't seem like Rinden can see it. Weird. Rinden raises an eyebrow. What's wrong? But Theo just lets his sword slip from his grip. I have no idea what's going on. Maybe this is a gift. A chance to let out his frustration before he dies again. His fingers tighten into a fist. Dream or not, I'm definitely going to punch you. The punch lands, but Rinden barely flinches. Theo blinks. Why does this feel so real? Wait, why is my punch so soft? Is this what hitting someone in a dream feels like? Rinden's expression darkens. His sword swings in a blur, knocking Theo flat on the ground. I thought you said today's lesson was over. Rinden sneers. Why, does it hurt? Theo frowns. It's just a dream, right? Rinden sighs. I get it. You're frustrated. The awakening ceremony is coming up fast, but no matter how much effort you put in, I don't see any progress. Theo stiffens. Awakening ceremony? What is he talking about? Rinden doesn't stop. Attacking your own instructor? I can't overlook that. If you're a true Ragnar, you should have used your sword, not your fist. With that, Rinden turns away. See you at the next lesson. Theo just sits there, still trying to process everything. Laughter erupts from the other trainees. Why'd you punch your teacher, talentless idiot? Another scoffs. You're supposed to be a Ragnar? You're not even good enough to be an illegitimate brat. If this is all you've got after all that training, you're dead. Theo lowers his gaze. His fingers dig into the dirt. He needs to know if this is real. I can't believe this pain feels so real. Even the sand slipping through his fingers, it feels exactly like it should. That's when it hits him. This isn't a memory. This is real. The air suddenly shifts. A chill runs down his spine. The awakening ceremony. It happened 10 years ago. That means I'm back. I'm 7 years old again. But how? Before he can process it, the strange window appears once more. Tutorial mission complete. Reward: Ragnar's talent. His reflection flickers in the glowing text, his eyes still filled with confusion. Then, a final message appears. Do you wish to claim your reward? He raises his hand, hesitating for a moment. Before he clicks yes, then he immediately feels a strange sensation in his chest. The window tells him he's received the reward, and all his stats will increase at a crazy speed. He can't see anything. Because of the bright light from receiving his mission reward, he only wonders what's happening. The window tells him the next mission will start now. And finally, we see the Lord's castle in all its beauty, still untouched and standing strong. Someone sets down the tea, and we hear Rinden say honestly that he's never seen anyone so untalented. Then we learn that Rinden's full name is Rinden Harvey. But he says that's why he's here, as Theo's teacher, to teach him the best he can and make him strong enough for the awakening ceremony in at least 5 months. The woman says she'll leave him to it, and this is Theo's mother, Cecilia, the lady of the Rose Castle. Cecilia hands Rinden a full bag of money, saying she hopes he'll give Theo extra attention. He tells her he plans to teach him day and night, so there's no need to worry. Cecilia smiles, saying she's not worried and that she believes in Theo. As Rinden walks away, he laughs, saying that even though he's not teaching Theo properly, it's true that Theo completely lacks talent, calling him a spoiled child like his mother, and saying that this bloodline has no future. Rinden looks at the money, saying it's great, an exceptional payment, and since he holds the title of teacher of the direct Ragnar bloodline. Then Rinden looks ahead to see Theo running straight toward him. Surprised by what's happening, Theo runs past him in the hallway. We see that Theo is super excited to see his mom. He runs, shouting her name. She turns around to see her son panting, and he hugs her. She tells him he must be tired from today's training, surprised by the hug, but still asks what he's doing. He starts crying, but he's happy, because he's gone back 10 years in time. He remembers his last moments, looking at his mother's lifeless body, and how heavy that moment weighed on him, and he realizes just how talentless he really was. We see him crying with joy as he says he needs to change the future. His mother is just confused. Theo explains that he's weak without his name now, but if that mysterious message window was real, He can definitely become stronger and wants to be strong enough to survive the royal succession war that will help him fight anyone who claims the throne. He keeps hugging his mom, and his anger shows as he says he also needs to be strong enough to take revenge on Rindon. And his first goal is to push his body to the limit. That night, we hear someone running. Matthew is running fast, saying he really wants to get revenge on Rindon, but he can't do anything with his weak body. So he needs to focus on getting stronger first. Then he says that the intelligence agency he was a part of in his past life was called the Black Word, and he was transferred to the information team because his skills were average, but he never expected to use the information he gathered this way. He remembers the potion that greatly strengthens the body, called the Bloody Sword Emperor's Elixir, and its true value. It will be revealed in a secret booklet in the future. And more importantly, the intense training he gave up on due to his lack of talent. We see him training all night, continuing to run without stopping. All the things he couldn't do before are now possible because of the activation of the Ragnar talent, which means the window is real. And he gained 27% of his strength overnight. We see some other trainees wondering how many laps he's done nonstop, asking if he's always this fit. Theo says that with this, he'll run as much as he couldn't before and hit harder than he ever did in his past life because he's going to become as strong as possible. And now he's on his way to complete his second training mission. He's reached 65% of his goal. A few days later, in the training area at night, someone is watching Theo swing his sword like crazy. The watcher yawns, and we learn she's the training ground manager. Her name is Evelyn Neville. She says he's been training here a lot these past few days, and she doesn't understand how he earned the title of the Foolish Ragnar. Because in her view, he can't be talentless if he's been training non-stop like this over the last few days. Then we see Theo now. He has completed 97% of the mission progress, and his eyes are still filled with determination as he swings his sword again, saying he will finish his goal. We go back to last night, when he had reached 90% while he was resting. Suddenly, the percentage dropped, which means he couldn't rest and had to push his body to the limit. So he'd been training nonstop for the last 2 days. He swings his sword again, saying they forced him not to stop until the end. We return to the present, and he's gained a new percentage. We see him pull his sword back and raise it high, saying he's close to reaching his goal. He leaps off the ground, saying he just needs to push a little more. Now he's gained another percentage from running a bit more, and his eyes are still filled with excitement. But his body looks exhausted as he says he will train until he can't breathe anymore. Evelyn is shocked by what she's seeing. He's running around the track like a maniac, trying to get this last percentage. We see him on the verge of passing out, until the progress bar finally hits 100%, and he instantly looks relieved, while the window tells him he's completed his second training mission. As a reward, he's received a dragon heart, and for completing the mission this fast, he's gained 10 years of magical power from his past life. He collapses to the ground from exhaustion. Then, the system asks if he wants to receive his rewards now. Shaking heavily, he raises his hand and clicks yes. The window starts giving him his rewards. He closes his eyes, waiting for them, while a blue aura surrounds him as he lies on the ground. Evelyn can see it and feels the waves it creates, completely shocked. Then, Artho opens his eyes, finding himself in a bed. He looks around, wondering where he is. Evelyn walks in and tells him not to worry, that this is the resting room on the training grounds. She says sarcastically that even the general would collapse if they pushed themselves like this. He says her name, and she's surprised that he remembers it. She introduces herself again, telling him he passed out while training alone in the morning, so she brought him here. He says he understands and thanks her. She seems to still be curious about something. She hands him a drink. She tells him that he knows opening the Mana Hall before the awakening ceremony is forbidden in the Ragnar clan. He replies, of course, and she asks if he knows what will happen if he breaks this rule. He drinks and asks her why she's asking this. She tells him that before he passed out, there was a mana surge that matched the opening of the Mana Hall. He's surprised by the sudden change in her tone. She asks him if he really opened it, and he's surprised by what she's saying. Then she continues, saying that if he truly opened it, he wouldn't be alive. Then he feels something in his chest. He remembers the dragon heart, the one he received as a reward. He starts to sweat. He tells her she must be mistaken about the mana. We know the dragon heart is actually a place where mana can be stored. The dragon heart makes it work more efficiently, but it's usually placed in the lower abdomen, not in the heart like dragons, because a human heart can't handle mana. This is why every warrior from Ragnar craves a dragon heart. It's an easy way to become overwhelmingly strong, but humans have never been able to overcome its limitations. But now, the hero has a dragon heart, and he says the mission rewards are definitely tempting. But because of that, he's now in an awkward position with Evelyn, who's high-ranking in sword fighting. She retired after losing her left arm, and while she's just a manager for the training fields now, she was once the commander of the White Dragon Battalion, and she was so skilled that even the demon of the White Dragon Battalion adored her. She was also known for her strict principles and was not the type to judge someone based on status or strength. She didn't care about betrayal or cowardice. Theo thought about what he would say to her. If she finds out about the mana chamber in his heart, he will die right here and now. He was sweating nervously. Then he asked her if she could handle the consequences. If he wasn't caught, she was talking about his immediate execution because of her momentary feelings, wondering if she could handle the result. Since he knew her well, he could use her personality against her. He told her that he was also from Ragnar, and if they found out she was involved or spreading false rumors, it would be considered defiling the clan's name. She agreed, saying he was right, and these were the rules. Then he asked her what she knew about the punishment for insulting the heir. She answered that she knew the punishment was execution. He said it was good that she knew and that she should go ahead and check it out. Evelyn wondered about this strange feeling that overwhelmed her. He asked her if he had always been like this. She began to put mana in her hand, saying she would check it out even if he was from the Ragnar bloodline. Because the rules are the rules, she examined him, but she didn't find anything. Evelyn got confused, saying he had no mana, meaning she was wrong and it couldn't be possible. At that point, Theo asked her if she had felt anything. Evelyn dropped to her knees, begging him to execute her, saying she had made a mistake and would pay for it with her life. Theo smiled and told her, of course, there wouldn't be mana, because dragon hearts are different from regular mana halls. Having a mana hall in a dragon's heart means the user can control it freely. In other words, he could hide the mana, and the truth that humans can have a dragon's heart wouldn't be discovered until years later. She never would have guessed he was one of them. He reached out and patted her shoulder, telling her not to worry, saying she had only done what she had to do. And this wasn't a mistake, and there weren't many people who risked their lives to learn the truth from the heir, saying Evelyn was one of the strongest people, and that this would benefit him. If he made her owe him, he added that the reason for restricting the opening of mana before the ceremony was the fear of mana overflow, which made him happy, and she didn't need to worry about him. He was a Ragnar scoundrel, then thanked her for caring about him. After he found him unconscious, while she sat stunned by what just happened, Theo continued thinking, saying that with a dragon's heart and 10 years of magical power built up from his past life, he would become ridiculously strong and very fast. A few days later, Ragnar shouted, saying this was a mistake, and ordered him to sway a little to the right, then shouted again, asking Theo how many times he needed to explain this simple thing. But Theo didn't care, saying it was good that he was getting stronger while pretending to be weak, and this was really getting on Theo's nerves because he truly hated Ragnar. He looked at him, staring, wondering if he was purposely teaching him bad sword techniques to make him look foolish. Theo became more certain that there was a mastermind behind Ragnar's actions. The person who had killed him in his past life, he needed to figure out who it was. Then he realized something. Smiling, he said there was something he could actually do. He calls out to Ragnar, who barks at him, saying he can't talk during lessons. Theo says he can't listen to the lesson anymore because he's exhausted, then breaks the training sword in half, telling him how he became a mid-rank swordsman with a third-level skill. He feels he could even beat low-ranked demon monsters in a hurry. Ragnar starts getting annoyed. Theo steps forward and asks him, "Were you deaf?" saying his skills are totally useless, and he'll force him to resign from his position. Ragnar starts yelling at him, and Theo says if things get worse with Ragnar, he'll have to contact the mastermind. We shift to a place called Camellia's Castle, and a man opens the door, calling out to someone named Action. He asks if Action has heard that the filthy Ragnar will fight his lord next week. Action sits there with a drink in his hand while the man continues speaking. It seems he was blaming his instructor for his lack of talent, and he might end up half disabled after the fight. While the man is speaking, Action throws his drink at him and hits him in the head with the glass. The man collapses to the ground, unconscious. Action asks him why he cares if he becomes a crippled scumbag, and we learn he is part of the 4 northern hunting dogs, holding the title of Dark Tiger, and his name is Action Ragnar. Standing next to him is the silver lion from the same group, named Remto Narsi. Another man enters and says this must be annoying to them, as things could get worse if they're not careful. He's one of the 9 dragons, and his name is Trovan, the Sky Dragon. Action agrees, but only if the person has talent, and tells his uncle he worries too much, wondering why he's concerned about that scoundrel Theo. Trovan replies, saying he's from Ragnar, and things could happen that have never happened before. Even the slightest possibility could start a fire at any moment. Trovan says that, despite all that, this is great, since the instructor should handle this on their behalf. The scene shifts to a week later at the training field. All the trainees are laughing. We see a mysterious figure watching, and Flynn looks worried. We watch Theo as he lifts his blade and says this isn't exactly what I wanted. I just wanted things to go my way, but after being humiliated, everything spiraled out of control. The tension has grown far bigger than the crowd expected. They begin to cheer. Theo says, things have turned out this way, so I'll make sure to get my revenge on him, because the task now is to fight against Rindon and win. Then we get a flashback scene of Theo telling Rindon that he's fired and needs to leave, which frustrates Rindon even more. Rindon yells at him, saying he won't accept this, because there's still so much time left on his contract. Theo says he doesn't care, and if his boss says he's fired, that means he has to go. Looking at his past life, Theo wants to beat him to death, but he's not confident in his skills just yet. First, he'll distance himself from him and look for more information. Rindon realizes this is bad, because if he's fired like this, his mission will fail. He has to convince Theo somehow. He begs Theo, saying this goes against the rules, and he might go to court. At that moment, a status window appears in front of Theo, informing him about the new mission. Then Evelyn suddenly appears and says she has an idea. They'll solve this the Ragnar way. Theo asks her if she means the rule of the strong. Evelyn responds, exactly, they should decide this through a sword match. So there's no need for Rindon to go to court, they'll just follow the will of the winner. Rindon laughs, saying it's a great idea and believes it works in his favor. Then Evelyn says the long-awaited day will be 1 week from now. Theo is a bit surprised. Evelyn laughs, wondering if that's okay. Theo says, of course, but deep down, he knows he's not ready to defeat Rindon yet. Then the flashback returns. The trainees say they heard Theo can't even swing his sword properly, but one of them says it's impossible for him to still be from Ragnar, if that's true. His friend keeps joking, saying he wouldn't have said anything if Ragnar was normal, but he's the fool Ragnar, so it's impossible for him to beat a mid-rank sword. Randon tells Theo that if he apologizes now, he can handle it like nothing happened. There's no need to risk his life for pride. Theo replies, saying that's exactly what you'd say if you didn't want to become a one-handed swordsman. You'd better accept that you've been kicked out. Rindon gets angry, saying he'll act like this to the end, and it looks like he was about to overlook it because it's so insignificant. But this won't help, and he has to kill him. Rindon pretends that this is a mistake because the result of the match is already decided. He says he'll let him attack first. Theo attacks with his sword, saying he won't refuse the offer. Rindon gets ready to block. All the trainees immediately get involved in the fight. As we hear the sound of swords clashing, we see Theo and Rindon already fighting, but of course, Rindon is pushing Theo back. The trainees laugh, saying it really looks like Theo doesn't even know how to use his sword. At this rate, he might die because all he can do is block attacks. Rindon laughs and asks him what happened to his confidence, saying that he can't do anything against him. Yet Theo looks at him with contempt. This was the obvious result because Theo isn't even a low-ranked swordsman. He's just a trainee, although his skills have improved strangely recently, but it's not enough. If he were at least on the level of one of the 4 North hunting dogs, it would be a different story, but it's impossible for him to defeat this fool. We go back to Theo, who asks Evelyn what she's doing with this suggestion. She says it was just a good gesture. If he wants to get rid of him, he has to be precise about it. It seems like someone is supporting him, so firing him won't solve the problem. He asks her how she knows that. She replies that since he was teaching him a strange sword style, someone started investigating him. After seeing his teaching method directly, she thought it seemed strange and exaggerated, and she wanted to know where this bad teacher came from. He says that Evelyn didn't pay attention to this in his past life, maybe because she was distracted by the mana incident. She puts the tea aside, saying that all her investigations lead to one place, and that place is the Camellia Palace. Theo is surprised by this, wondering if this is all because of their miserable fight for the throne, starting to get angry. Then, calming himself, he says it's amazing she figured all this out, but with his skills, he still can't beat Rindon, wondering what she's planning next. Evelyn smiled, saying he could definitely win and that he was underestimating his abilities. Then we return to the fight. Rindon laughs as he attacks Theo with his sword, saying if he kneels now, maybe he'll forgive him. He launches a strong strike toward Theo, but Theo blocks it. Rindon starts to notice something strange. Theo's face doesn't show any signs of tension. Even as he continues to block the attacks one after another, Rindon says it's a bit strange that Theo is able to do this, wondering what's going on. This isn't the Theo he remembers. Wondering how his skills grew so much, Rindon starts to feel desperate as the fight swings back and forth. We see Ramon watching the fight from behind the trainees, all of them amazed that Theo doesn't seem to be backing down. One of them says, "We were wrong, he's actually blocking the attacks he's getting." Evelyn was smiling because she had predicted this outcome, because she told Theo that one more week of training would be more than enough, and if she trained him personally, he would easily be able to defeat someone like Rindon. As for ignoring the teacher and his teachings, that was against the rules, but Rindon is a scumbag. He shouldn't even be a teacher after all. Theo smiled, saying things would go this way, and it was worth it for Evelyn to owe him. But there was one thing that worried him, so he asked her why she went so far to help him, wondering if it was because of what happened last time. She replied, "That's part of it, but there's also someone I know who wants to help you. He's obsessed with collecting talent." Meanwhile, Rindon became more panicked as every one of his attacks was blocked, saying that Theo showed no signs of any real talent, or maybe he had been pretending to be a fool this whole time. But why would he do that in the first place? Then Theo asked him, "Who's supporting you?" Rindon yelled, asking what Theo was talking about. So Theo asked, "Do you really think I don't know you've been giving me bad lessons this whole time?" Rindon replied, "That's ridiculous. I've worked hard to teach you." But Theo interrupted, asking, "Is it Camellia's mansion?" Rindon shuddered, a chill running down his spine, and wondered how Theo knew that. Theo smiled, saying, "It's good that you're being honest," then asked him if he knew what it felt like to lose an arm. He pushed Theo forward, swinging his sword toward Rindon's arm, before Rindon could reply. Just like he did with Theo in his past life, Rindon's arm flew through the air, and he looked at it in disbelief as she moved away from his body. It seemed that Theo was determined to kill him right there. Even Rindon was shocked by what happened. He started screaming in pain and fell to the ground. Theo just sat there, watching, enjoying what had happened. Rindon looked at him, beginning to insult him, saying, "How dare you do this to me?" Theo slowly stepped forward, saying, "With this much power, I've become stronger, and there's more room to grow than before." Then he asked him about what he had said last time. "Wasn't it your mistake to get this far?" Rindon asked him, "What do you mean?" Theo readied his sword and said, "It's your fault you'll die here today. Among the Ragnar who believe in the rule of the strong, I was the weakest." He said the same words that he had said to him when he killed him in his past life. Rindon screamed, "Wait!" But it was too late, as Theo severed his head. In his final moments, he saw his own body from a distance. With that, Theo completed the third educational task, leaving everyone in a state of shock, except for Evelyn, who knew this would be the outcome. Even the mysterious man seemed to be enjoying it. Theo exceeded the goal and received an extra reward. A status window appeared asking him if he wanted to claim the reward now, as Theo stood before Rinden's corpse. All the trainees were shocked that he had actually won, especially since he was just a beginner fighter and Rinden was at an intermediate level. They wondered how this was even possible. Theo felt annoyed, calling Rinden weak and saying that he had suffered at the hands of someone like him in his past life. But now things would be different. He looked at Rinden's body with disdain. While opening a skill called Observation as an extra reward, he also gained a year's worth of magical power. Theo was surprised to regain his magic power, but he wondered what Observation was. And just like that, we've reached the end of part 1 of Theo's journey. Part 2 is coming real soon, Legends, so stay tuned. Until next time,